at their defense here. So you got to wait. So you see Fred Warner. So they're going to run a hook and they're going to run it like I can't remember if it's a deep slant or a dig. But Warner sits in the passing lane, right? So you got to wait. You got to look him off. And so that gives that rush an opportunity to get home. But the windows are there. You're going to be able to complete passes on a one-on-one basis. The pre-snap ID is critical. So they go motion early because they want to see if Fred's playing man. Because now they've got that bunch down on the bottom. They know they're playing man defense. That means the outside player, the outside defensive back, who's like, almost 10 yards off the ball, now is going to, if we let's say ran him on a shallow cross, has to run all the way across the field, almost an impossible ask. So they go bunch, they bunch release go underneath. But the big thing here is they do two things. They ID the coverage, and then they add another human for that defensive back to have to trace his Njigba Smith, number 11 for the Seahawks, all the way across the field. Easy pickings. So Geno Smith does it on his own here. And, I think I go back, and I think one of the things you have to always be aware of, because Jordan Love's got wheels too. And this is not designed, but, the guard gives up the inside lane and they get flushed. But because the Niners are worried about the pass, Geno's actually got some wheels. It's funny. I think he got clocked at like 20 miles. Some ridiculous thing nobody thought, but he's actually a really good runner. He was never touted that when he was coming out, certainly for all these years. But he's got a little bit of juice to him. So I'll be interested to see what they do with Jordan Love here, knowing that he'll be very happy to take that 10 yards. We're hoping he'll be happy to take that 10 yards. I know checkdowns and maybe getting the freebies are something that he's probably looking at this week a little bit harder after the last couple of weeks. So the opportunities might be there because they are not afraid to do a four-man rush. I think that won them the game right there, that play. So we see it here. You just have to be smart. So the safety covers up, and I'll tell you and I don't know if it's because they're rookies or younger players, but it's been interesting to me, and as a general statement, to see how many times these guys have shown that they're going to come off the edge based on the positioning of the safety behind them. I've always thought that was an unnecessary alignment where you have to be directly behind a guy before you're allowed to go. You see the really top teams or the really top guys feel like that's not necessary, but you see a lot of these guys feel like they almost have to be mirrored 10 yards back. But in the slot, what's important to understand here is if that guy's coming, that means the linebacker's dropping. So where do we not want to go? Back to the middle. They do a great job of route adjusting here. This is just what we call a side adjustment. So he stays, immediately just gets into the open space. We have the go route on the bottom of the screen to take away that corner. And then this is really just a relatively easy pass and catch. Get your yards where you can. That's the big thing here, is just stay on schedule. So you see this a couple times in the game, and I had watched this game a couple times over, and so they're running backside fold blocks, right? And you do this sometimes because you feel like you're going to cut the defense, and you don't want to get caught up, especially when you have like two tight ends blocking. They think the defensive end can basically collapse that whole side regardless. So they try to run the fold here and they fold up to Devondre, and it just doesn't work. I don't know if you can hold up one way or another. But the way that these guys swarm to the ball, if you have to jump cut in the backfield, you're pretty much done. And then they try it again. Like, for me, I think you just need to move humans. I would rather see them try to double and get vertical push and work up. That's what the Packers traditionally do. So I don't think you'll see this, but one of the reasons they have to do it. Boy, that tape was bad. Let's try that again. See if I can get a little bit more out of that. So you see they're going to pull this around. It's called, again, a full block, try to pull around, and there's really nothing to hit. That guard gets beat and essentially destroys this whole play. The backside guy then can chase down the play. The pursuit of the Niners, for the last couple of years has always been really impressive to me, the way that they get bodies to the ball. And you see that, like, Devondre's sitting back and kind of waiting for this because the defense or the defensive tackle effectively just destroyed two holes right there and took out two offensive linemen. So put him in a good position to be successful again. I don't know if I tried a single block on the backside. Look here, and they're just kind of standard 4-3 look. And look how many guys they got running to the ball here: two, four, six, eight, nine guys on the screen, all trying to finish backside. You really, there's 10. You really got to get, if you get strung out, if you can't go downhill, if you can't hit your hole, this is a really tough team to play against. And I say that only because Josh Jacobs has done such a good job. You can see on his touchdown last week where he can jump out and beat leverage. Not that you can't do it here, but these guys are, in my opinion, are really good at chasing the football. And this is the other thing they're pretty good at: holding up in the secondary long enough to get home. Last week they lost this game, but boy, they played well. I thought Gross Matos showed up and showed out. I hadn't seen him on tape for a while, so I don't know if he was injured. I don't follow the Niners exclusively, but he did a couple things in this game, particularly running TE games. He had two sacks, or excuse me, he had two kind of cause for sacks on TE games that I thought were just super high level. I think this is it again. Come on. There we go. So good job winning here. He's supposed to actually pick, but he wins so badly that he just gives Floyd the freebie. And then we got, this is just not a day at the beach for our offensive line. You look at this, if it's, 3rd and 8+ and they want to hold the ball. The worst thing in the world is if, like, you're an offensive lineman, it's like 3rd and 8, screen. You're thinking to yourself, like, quick screen, draw, something. And they go like 75 protection, boys. Hey, I'm going to need a little bit of time on this one. You're like, oh, okay. And oh, by the way, it's going to be scat. Like there's no tight end, no running back blocking. It's like a 22 scat look. So they're going to run the TE up top, or excuse me, on the right. They come through, and somehow the running back, I think it's Charbonnet, gets in the way of the right tackle, and Bosa ends up getting one of the sacks, or at least half a sack. And then I think you got one more here, where it's like you got him double team, man. You got the triangle going. Like this is absolutely ridiculous. You stop him, and then you stop your feet at right tackle. He hits Purdy so hard he gets hurt. So